And you know what this is, this machine? This is a 40 megahertz 386.
Wow, that's fast, huh? But it still takes time to boot up.
Well, this is OS2 it's booting. It's going to take a long time to boot. See this tiny little thing here? This little tiny little thing?
Yeah.
That's an 80 megabyte disk.
No kidding.
Yeah. Okay, tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. My name's Carl Chatzky. And sometime in the very early 70s, 71, 72, I was working as a research programmer at Johns Hopkins University in the areas of spectroscopy, cosmological physics. And a few years before that, I'd had a love affair with the computer. When computers first started to come in, I really loved them. I didn't have to really study them very hard. I had an affinity with that way of thought and a great deal of ability to work with them and make programs. I still felt at that time that universities were institutions of learning, that they weren't commercial places. They were somehow better than businesses. And I just went through a period of awakening when I realized that the university was highly complicit in military activity and was running itself like a business. There were not decisions being made on knowledge or morals or philosophy, but on what made money. I was very disillusioned. I also had my second child, and as a university researcher, I was not well paid. So I was looking around for something else to do, and it eventually came down to two possibilities: a job as a programmer with a company in Baltimore called American Totalizator, which had recently been bought by General Instrument Company, or Westinghouse, which was doing military work. And military work was out. I was not about to do military work. That's a principle I already set for myself. And what the American Tote Company wanted me to do was design an off-track betting system for New York City. I believe in cooperative living for two reasons: because it breaks down some alienation between people, and it's less expensive, and it teaches sharing. And I had the feeling that there were a number of convents that just were not being occupied because there are not that many people doing that anymore, and we were able to get an unused building and make it available to students and other people that wanted to both study and try and experiment in living cooperatively. Yeah. Look, I love Catholics, and I appreciate the honor of living here, and we're trying to do very valid socially useful things. We love people and want to make the world a better, more spiritual place. Oh, yeah, I got something to show you, though. I do, but...
What do you want to show us?
I'll show you.
Okay, let's go.
I got to get someone. I locked this out. I got to get in first, and then I'll show you. We can go to the church office, and I can see if we can get a key. But otherwise we're locked out.
That's razor sharp barbed wire, huh? Go ahead, pull the blanket up.
I'll hold the camera and you can pull it.
Holy shit. Of
course, it's fine. I had two choices of a job. I could work for the military, or I could work designing this system. And the amazing thing when you're designing these systems is how removed your work is from the end utilization. You didn't even really think. I mean, I was the project leader, and I didn't even think about it in terms of gambling or what it meant socially or who was going to gamble and what it all meant. All you were concerned with was communications between terminals and mini computers and big computers and running fail-safe. It's the same, I think, as people that are working for the military. They're building computers to drop bombs or incinerate people or torture people worse, but they're not thinking about that. They really are only thinking about it as a technological problem. Same thing. But I also felt that horse racing was a much better deal since it only takes 18% of your money as opposed to a lottery system which takes 50% of your money, and furthermore, there is no rationale behind a lottery system. You can't apply any intelligence to solving any problems, and you end up with this incredible amount of fantastic thinking around astrology and around everything else, which has no basis in reality whatsoever. So New York City comes out with this idea that they want to build a computerized betting system that can have 800 terminals and can do $1 billion a year in business, and it's going to do 220,000 bets an hour, and that comes down to 80 bets every second. Now that's a very heavy load for a computer system to do. I did a proposal that involved a bunch of little computers working together to get this job done. And the other people that were interested in bidding on this, which was IBM and Computer Sciences Corporation, proposed systems that had a big behemoth computer in the middle that cost millions and was telling all these little computers what to do, but it doesn't work because it was a hierarchical system and the main system was a bottleneck. Whereas my notion of these relatively cooperating little computers, there were no big expensive bottlenecks, and in fact the system only cost a fraction of the main behemoth, to say nothing of their entire system.
So you handed in this proposal.
And we were basically laughed out of the bidding because it was so much cheaper, so much smaller than any of the other system proposals. My boss had made this brilliant decision that even though we were laughed out of the bidding, not only could we make our system work, but that their system wouldn't work and we would eventually get a chance at it. It was something that I thought was really brilliant. They could only do 16 bets a second, where the system requirement was 80 bets a second. And there was a lot of bad publicity, and there were long lines. People couldn't make their bets. So eventually they split it up to another company, and that company had the same architecture. They could only get another 16 bets. There's only 32. They wanted 80.
Were those good times in your life working on that off-track betting system?
No. I mean, it had an intellectual excitement, but actually another typical thing happened. In many ways, it broke up my marriage because the intensity of the project and the number of years of effort that it took to hold that whole thing together and create it. I was during that period working 6-7 days, 10 hours a day, and it was very intense. One of the things that I think about of science in the service of any of these things, it's very easy to forget what you're working on. I would say that many of the people that worked for me didn't even think of it in terms of, or maybe they knew what they were working on, it wasn't kept hidden, but as far as they were concerned, they had a problem with a push-down stack, or they had a problem with a input-output device, and you don't think of the end result of this any more than you think of the end result of developing gas or a biological weapon or dropping an atom bomb or napalm. You don't think of the result. You're just lost in the science and the technology of it. I think the most predominant, the most important thing right now is the fact that these computer systems are eliminating the labor content of everything. And the question is, as we move into the future, what's going to happen to the people that used to do labor of every single kind? Will we move to a utopian future where the benefits of technology that has replaced the human labor will equally be shared? Or are people who are no longer useful to the system be genocided. I think that's the issue that's facing the human race. I think one has to take a Luddite position if one's going to be real. Until the economic and social system is changed, we cannot have technology, because technology further increases the disparity of power. It's one of the things that's leading to the New World Order, both for its labor-reducing values, which makes people dispensable to the system, as well as giving them the ability to carry this incredible concentration of wealth out. Well, and then the most interesting thing, the interesting twist of fate about this convent is that it's a parish convent. It's not associated with an order. It's associated with a convent, with a particular parish church. And as far as I can tell, their major source of income is gambling and bingo. They have big bingo games 3 nights a week, and that's their largest source of income. Hi. What times the game start?
Start at 7:30.
7:30.
And how much can you win?
500 on the last game.
$500?
On the last
What's the odds on beating
I have no idea. I don't even remember how to play bingo. Actually, I hate gambling myself. I don't like to take chances. I really don't like the chances. And I also don't believe that people, in general, if a person is not hopeless, I don't think that they want to take chances. Why should anyone want to take chances? You want to have happen what you want to have happen. And therefore, I don't think that fundamentally people want to take chances.
Carl,
Yeah.
what happened to all the money you made developing that off-track betting system?
I invested it in the telephone company.
Tell me what happened to the money.
What happened to the money? Went to pay my kids' education. Sometimes I forgot to cash my checks. But in fact, just the other day, as we're moving into this convent, I went through my drawer and I found several thousands of dollars worth of checks. I just forgot to cash them.
You were pretty generous with your time, with your knowledge, and with your money.
Well, I think money is an anachronism. In fact, I'll give you a model. This is in some sense, people. Whenever I've told this to people, no one seems to appreciate it or think it's as deep maybe as some of the other things. But this, I think, is my most important view. The way life should run is like making love. When you make love, if you are measuring what you're giving and measuring what you're receiving, you're missing the whole point and you're not getting anything real from it. And in fact, the other thing that's interesting to know about making love, when you are doing it and you're not measuring what you're giving and receiving, the giving and receiving meld into one. There is no difference between giving and receiving. And I think what the true revolutionary program is to build a society so that each moment is lived like that. It's not that you do away with money and replace it by barter. What you do is you build a world that runs through love and cooperation rather than by exploitation. And that's the end result of my 52 years of living in thought.